Hello, people. Sorry I'm a bit late, but hey, things must, needs must, and all that good stuff of freaking course. Hope you have had a great day. Sunday, great day. Yesterday's evening also was great, to be honest. Man City dropped points. Arsenal go 9 points clear. I'm not gonna lie, it is looking very promising. Of course, massive week ahead for Arsenal. Second leg in Champions League. We have Carabao Cup final, of course, against Man City during the weekend. Then we have international break, and of course, after that, we have Southampton in the FA Cup away at St. Mary's. And of course, the biggest question of them all that still remains for Arsenal is the Jurriën Timber situation. How big is that injury? How serious it is? How long he potentially could be out for? Hopefully for not too long. Hopefully it is nothing serious, but obviously you can never tell until something gets announced. So that Jurriën Timber injury is one of the biggest question marks so far this season that we have left, of course. 9 points clear, should be good. We're going to talk about all that. And of course, massive week ahead, which will be another big talking point. But yeah, if you haven't already, people, smash the like on your way in, subscribe if you are new around here, and of course, leave your thoughts in the live chat so we can tackle them, we can discuss them, we can go from there and do all that good stuff. My camera has gone out of focus, which I absolutely don't like, but hey, I guess it is what it is. We have to fix it on the fly, of course. But yeah, big up AFC always, big up. Next Sunday is more massive in terms of winning our first trophy of the season. Yeah, 100% next weekend, this game against Man City could define quite a lot. It definitely could define quite a lot in terms of Arsenal's rest of the season, in terms of the league, in terms of the trophies and everything, because this is the first trophy we can get hands on in 6 years. First trophy in 6 years we can get our hands on, and definitely it's gonna be a rough one. I don't expect an easy game against Man City, even though Mark Gehi, for example, cannot play for Man City, but Semenyo can. Still, obviously, their defense can be gone at, but the sheer power of their attack, which obviously is struggling. We saw against West Ham, we saw against in other games, they just got demolished by Real Madrid 3-0. It's definitely gonna be weighing over their heads. But of course, before our game against before we played them in the Carabao Cup, they have the second leg against Real Madrid at Etihad, and Real Madrid and Man City. Lots of players are talking about the remontada comeback, and everything is possible. So we'll see. We definitely are going to see, because you never know with football. Football comes at you fast. Let's be real, and it could be 20 minutes in and it's 2-0 City and game on. Let's be real. So you never ever know. And big up Mubarak. Hope you're doing well. 9 points clear. I tell you, this in Uganda. We are starting drowning and planning for party. I don't blame you. Me, for example, I'm keeping myself still calm, level-headed, and chill, because 9 points, yes, it is a lot. Don't get me wrong, it is a lot. But Man City have a game in hand, which until that game happens, in my head, that's 3 points for Man City. That's already 6. If things go sour at the Etihad, it's 3. And then anything can happen once again. And so there is still, if we win at Etihad, right? If we win at Etihad, we finally get past that mental block against Man City. We win at the Etihad. We do the job. We make a statement for now and for the next upcoming seasons, in terms of that we are not anymore this team that folds, that this is one of those stadiums where we tend to not get a proper result. It will be glorious. Because if we win against Man City at Etihad mid-April, for me, we're going to win the league. Let's be real. If we win the Carabao Cup, I will be more confident that we're going to win the league, obviously, until that game. But up until then, it's a very still long way to go. Let's be real. It's a very long way to go. Hopefully, for now, we are in this position where everything seems to fall in place for Arsenal to win it all. Let's be real. It's all falling into place very nicely. Do I like the football I'm seeing on the pitch? Not too much, but it is what it is. It gets the job done. It gets us points on the board. And for now, hey, cannot complain. We are on top in all the positions in the Premier League. We are in all the competitions, and well, the world is our oyster, so to speak. Obviously, we need to get past Bayer Leverkusen first, and of course, we need to beat City. We need to get past Southampton and all this stuff. But hey, one step at a time. We cannot get too ahead of ourselves. Next game, Bayer Leverkusen. It is on Tuesday, 8 p.m. kickoff. That is the next game we are worrying, of course, about. Max Dauman deserves 45 minutes because of his. He deserves more game time. Let's just put it that way. Overall, just wish he got it more during the season. Obviously, injury didn't help. Injury definitely maybe robbed him a few minutes he would have gone during the season. But for now, it looks like we could have. I'm not gonna get too carried away, but he definitely is a different dynamic type of player from the usual suspects we usually play in the starting 11 with the main guys, and he could be someone in terms of an X factor that could change the game on its head like he did against Everton. Definitely could do that again in certain games that are looking very rough, that where Arsenal could not get a proper outcome from. So far, it is looking good. It is looking promising, and hopefully Max Dauman can keep delivering. Obviously, with being 16 years old, you also expect that there could be some drop-offs. He might not have some as impact from performances, but for now, it's looking all fine and rosy, and we are here for it. We are here for it. The more Max Dauman can perform like that, the more he can impact games like that. More power to us. More power to us, and more expectations are gonna rise, because let's be real, he looks very exciting. He looks very good and very, very, very promising. Big up Chris, by the way. Big up Chris. Yeah, he can cross, he can dribble. Not too sure about the number 8 spot specifically that Max Dauman can play there. Much rather see him in the 10 or on the right wing. I much rather see a proper midfielder in the midfield position. But if we play against some other teams where we can deploy these type of scenarios where maybe Eze plays in the 8, where Max Dauman plays in the 8 and stuff like that, and we still look much threatening, we play, let's just say, with 2 10s in the game, right? It would be fantastic to see. We were on the brink of seeing it as well. I think it was Nottingham Forest in the beginning part of the season where Eze started in the 8 and Odegaard started in the 10, but Odegaard got injured 30 minutes in. So that ended that experiment, and that ended that discussion in terms of that we're never going to see it again, at least for quite a while, because Odegaard got injured. He came back. Then Eze had some good games. They didn't play together that much in the 8 and the 10. Odegaard got injured again, and now here we are because Havertz came back. He played the 10 as well, got injured. So the Eze is the number 1 option right now. Odegaard obviously has been doubtful in many instances right now in the last few games, so we'll see how that's going to go towards the end part of the season. Will Odegaard start? Will he play more? Will that mean that Eze sees less minutes? Like, only time will tell. Only time will tell. Big up Stockholm Gunnar. Big up. 9 points clear is making us calmer, I must say. 6 points really. City got the game in hand. Yeah, exactly. And that's how I'm seeing this. City have a game in hand. It's against Crystal Palace. Until that game happens, in my head, that is 3 points. I'm looking at the worst case scenario no matter how it goes, because I cannot sit here and openly say that Crystal Palace are going to demolish City. The most realistic scenario is City is going to get 3 points, right? So it's most 6. And if we can manage to keep this 9-point gap until we play them at Etihad, I don't think the City game against City's game against Crystal Palace has been confirmed yet. I'm not. I think it's still in to be determined stages or not. Yeah, it's still postponed. It's about to be determined. We'll see. We only gonna see, because there is no time for them to play it, because let's be real, they have to play Real Madrid on Tuesday, then they play us. Then there's international break, and they instantly have Liverpool in FA Cup. Arsenal have Southampton, so there's nothing in that. There's a week between the FA Cup and Man City's game against Chelsea, though, so maybe then it can be squeezed in, because afterwards, again, there's a week between Arsenal and Man City. Can you imagine if FA scheduled a game between Chelsea and Arsenal? Let's just say Man City play Chelsea on the 12th of April, play Arsenal on the 19th of April. If they schedule that Crystal Palace game between the Chelsea game and the Arsenal game, can you imagine the City fans, the outrage of quite a few Premier League fans even, in terms of that Arsenal are getting handled the title? That would be an insane outrage, to say the least. I'm not gonna lie. Dauman can do everything. Believe me, I said it 5 months. He is special. There's no argument about that. He just needs proper management, proper guidance. And as long as he can keep developing and not basically get too corrupted by this possession slow system, more power to him, more better for him. Did you see City fans giving up already? The meltdown from them was mad. Yeah, that draw against West Ham definitely put some perspective on things, without shadow of a doubt, for them, because they needed a win, because Arsenal had just beaten Everton 2-0, and for them to keep it close, to keep it more suspenseful and keep some hopes going, they needed a win against West Ham, and they did not get it. So definitely that was a massive meltdown. I was watching LB, and he didn't look too happy. Let's just put it that way. Definitely didn't look too happy. Let's just say it as it is. But still, they have a game in hand. We still have to go to Etihad, and that could actually be one of those games where they have extra motivation to try and dismantle us. And since we played the Carabao Cup final against the same team we are fighting for the title for, I think that game, the Carabao Cup, in a week when we played them, that also could impact, at least mentally, definitely, and psychologically, the team that's going to win it a bit more and give them that extra win that they need, basically, the extra fire up their asses, let's just put it that way, to go and push for it. So it's going to be interesting to see how that's going to do everything. But I think Timber's situation is not critical. Timber's situation in general, I don't think it's critical per se, but at the same time, if you look at the replacements and looking at the games coming up, it is a worry. Let's just put it that way. Yes, Timber has not been too great for the last few months. At the same time, Ben White is a liability no matter how you look at it. Arsenal are even looking at selling Ben White this summer, apparently, according to multiple reports. So how that's going to go, I don't know, which just proves that Arsenal are willing to let Ben White go. They don't consider him. And looking at the instance that Ben White was injured, he got subbed off, and Ben White didn't come on, but Mosquera played, it just shows that maybe Mikel Arteta is done with Ben White experiments at right back as well. Let's just put it that way. And if let's just say Timber is out for a few weeks, luckily it's international break, so Timber maybe can recover, obviously, in time. But at the same time, if we look from the other perspective, if we have to play Carabao Cup final with Mosquera at right back and everything, it definitely will be a bit worrisome. Because he's not an out-and-out right back. Yes, he has played there, but he's not the answer. And Mosquera is the cover for Saliba too. And if something goes wrong with Saliba, God forbid, knock on wood and all this stuff, if something goes wrong with Saliba, we have to play Ben White at right back, and then it could go south real quick. Let's just put it that way. Big up, Kwaja. Hope you're doing well. Hope everything's fine with you. Hope you're having a good day this beautiful Sunday. Hope everything's great. Smash the likes, people. Subscribe if you're new. 6 likes so far. That is a bit disgraceful. Can we get to 10-15, please, if that's possible? I would play Mosquera at right back on Tuesday and give Timber a rest. Yeah. If Timber is not fully fit and he needs even one, let's just say 20 minutes of a rest, I would play Mosquera. I think Mosquera still can do the job, no matter how you look at it. And I think we can beat Leverkusen with not having Timber on the pitch. I think our chances against Man City in the Carabao Cup final will decrease more heavily than the chances against Leverkusen if we don't have Timber. So if Timber needs a rest before the Man City game, I definitely would entertain that option, 100%. Saying that, if Timber is all fine and it was just a random minor knock or something and he's ready to go against Leverkusen, maybe there could be something to it as well. But let's not forget, obviously, Man City have Real Madrid, so that's going to be definitely a rough one for them. Yeah, we must beat them in the League Cup final, exactly. That League Cup final basically, to a degree, holds the key to Arsenal's season in Premier League. To a degree, because that game could actually show what is what. Because if Arsenal win, most likely they're not going to win the league. Let's be real. If Arsenal lose somehow that game, right, it could definitely send Arsenal in a bit of a downward spiral, and that could give Man City and their guys extra motivation. They will show that Arsenal are gettable at, and they will try and go for it. Let's be real. So definitely it's going to be very interesting to see how that Carabao Cup final is going to pan out. But I'm worried about the Carabao Cup final. Even though Man City are not in the best of forms, Arsenal are, well, who they are. Let's be real. I am worried about this Carabao Cup final. Even though we have a good record at Wembley as a team, Arteta hasn't lost at Wembley. Let's be real. As a player at least, right? And as a manager even. So there is hope. There is some of those minor instances that are pointing favorably in our direction. But until the ball gets kicked, until ref blows that final whistle, we will never know. We genuinely will never know. Football comes at you fast. Football is a proper humbler if you don't take it cautiously and seriously. So that Carabao Cup game definitely holds a massive, massive key. And hey, it's gonna be a rough one. It's gonna be a very nervy one as well for me. When that ball kicks off, it's gonna be scary movie settings. Let's just put it that way. 7 likes, big up to you all. Let's push it up to 10, and even further if it is possible. Let's just put it that way. Let's just push it as far as we can. In other news, by the way, people, Liverpool drew against the Spurs today at Anfield. And they have Galatasaray during the week as well. It's going to be a rough one for Liverpool fans. They could go out to Galatasaray because they need the goals they need to win, to be honest, to go through. Not even to force extra time, they need to win by 1 goal. And looking at how it's happening, it's rough. If you cannot beat Spurs at home, especially, definitely it's not boding well for you in the Champions League. Let's just put it that way. But looking at the Premier League table, it is actually quite insane to look at. I'm not gonna lie. Obviously, Arsenal are first, 9 points clear of Man City. As we have talked about already about this, Man City, as you can see, most of the teams have at least 1 game in hand, right? So for me, that is that Crystal Palace game. If they win that game, it's 6 points, right? And then the game at Etihad has extra weight. That game at Etihad literally will be a 9-pointer. Because if Arsenal win, we're going to win the league. If something goes sour, it's going to be up for grabs to a degree. Let's just put it that way. But for me, the biggest surprise is Man United. They beat today Aston Villa 3-1, right? Casemiro scored. Sesko scored 2 assists from Bruno Fernandes. They looked very good, to be honest. And I was listening to the game. I was watching the game. Was reading up on how Man United have changed, actually, right? The nuts part is when Amorim got sacked, Ruben Amorim, when he got sacked by Man United, United were 11 points. Yes, you heard that right. 11 points behind Aston Villa. 11 points. Now, since Carrick has taken over, they are 3 points ahead. So 14-point turnaround for Man United after sacking Amorim. That is just phenomenal change. I'm not going to lie. And they look like they are odds-on favorites actually to get Champions League. They are 5 points clear of Liverpool, especially after today when Liverpool drew against Spurs. It's actually kind of nuts. And even if, speaking of Spurs, by the way, if we look at this, Spurs are 1 point off relegation. How insane is that? If Spurs would have lost today's game, they would be on the same points and ahead only due to goal difference. Like this relegation battle, to a degree, is more exciting than the title race at the moment. Yes, title race, Arsenal are first, there are variables and all this stuff. At the same time, this relegation race is quite insane even to think about. Quite insane to think about. Leeds also are not that far off, to be honest. So it's going to be very interesting and very exciting to look at. Let's just put it that way. That's the advantage of having versatile players. Mosquera can back up Timber. Smart. Yeah, I know. But if something goes wrong, we have no backups. That is, for me, as much as versatile players are useful, right? Because you can cover multiple positions with one player. But initially, if something goes wrong with the actual position that player is covering, we're screwed. So that's why sometimes having these versatile players is a bit of a downside as well, because you can have a player who can cover almost every single position. But at the same time, if that player cannot cover his actual position that needs covering, something goes wrong to the main guy he's cover for, and the next guy he's covering for in the other position also is out, you have to basically pick the best of the two evils. You have to put him in one spot and hope that the other one holds up. And that is for me the biggest worry about these versatile players, because it could play a very cruel trick on you. Obviously, in other positions, having very versatile players, it's also a very good side and also a very bad side, because there are positions in the team you literally wish and want to have specialists in, so to speak. Let's just say striker who is actually a striker. Number 6 who is a number 6 and he doesn't play anywhere else. Center backs who actually are center backs and they don't play anywhere else. Hence why at center back we have Saliba and Gabriel. They don't play anywhere else. That's why they are good at what they are. Like, you wish also to have specific specialists in specific positions. And if you start to basically make shift around team, it's a bit of a worry sometimes, because that can ruin the whole dynamic and the full assertiveness of the team, especially in situations where with when you have, I know it's very weird to talk about this, but Mikel Arteta, right? For example, one of Mikel Arteta's biggest flaws, as great he did yesterday with the subs and everything, how impactful they were, and he did a great job with every sub made a massive impact, right? He has this weird pathology where if someone goes out, he tends to switch the whole dynamic of the team. It means that he plays one player there, then he has to shift another player into another position. And for one injury, for one red card or one player missing, he tends to sometimes switch 3-4 positions. And that is actually screwing it all up. In that case, again, it's kind of you kind of have double-edged sword. You either win some, you lose some. That is for me the biggest worry, no matter how you look at it. But Arsenal currently are sitting pretty. Premier League is looking very promising, very hopeful. Let's just put it that way. Everything is looking up in the making and up for grabs. You can definitely start to say that it's Arsenal's league to lose. Let's just put it that way. I know it's a bit premature to say this and everything in terms of the fact that City have a game in hand. We'll still have to go to Etihad and everything. But no matter how you look at it, with this position, it's Arsenal's league to lose. It's Arsenal's league to lose, right? And for everyone that wants to basically sit here, bitch and moan that many players, many Premier League fans, other club fans, other clubs are moaning about Arsenal, right? How we play. And they wish we played more attacking so we would be more open, right? Tell your own team to stop parking bus against us, first things first. Second of all, we at the moment are 9 points clear. Man City have a game in hand, so let's just say for sake of an argument, it's 6 points, right? At the same time, if we played more attacking, if we play more expansive football, as we have been talking about this throughout the whole season, we could be 15, 16, 17 points clear right now. And then everyone would still moan that nobody can come up to level. Arsenal are too dominant. The league is washed and everything, even though I feel league is washed to a degree. But everyone would moan to the other hand. So there is no winning with the fan base. Let's be real. If Arsenal play the style they're playing right now, they're playing too defensive. They're playing very boring. If Arsenal played attacking football, the lead in the league could be double-digit points by a mile. And then everyone would complain, oh, Arsenal are too attacking. Then Arsenal are scoring too many goals. The league is very boring. Arsenal already have it by January or February. So there would be no winning with the fans. So all I can say about the other fans and other people who are talking about is stay in your lane. Let's just put it that way. Big up, Roy. Hope you're doing well. Spurs supporters have suddenly forgotten that they have not won a game in 2026. They lose to Forest next week and the meltdown returns 10 times worse. Well, 100%. But getting a draw against Liverpool for them at Anfield, it's actually a good result for the situation and circumstances that Spurs are in right now. Getting a draw there for them is actually a good result. Fantastic, what's his face? Free kick by Zoboslai, I'm not gonna lie. Igor Tudor got a yellow card, but Richarlison basically made it 1-1. Spurs looked actually very interesting. They didn't look as poor. Even they looked very shaky, but they didn't look as poor as they usually do. But that, again, is on Liverpool, because Liverpool as well, they are not it. This season, they are not it, and that is another big worry for Liverpool. Because they last summer and the summer before, they didn't address the issues they needed to address. So they will have to try in this window to address those issues. I kind of believe that they are still not going to do it. They're going to come up short, and then it's going to cost them once again. That is a big worry. Liverpool aren't clinical at all. It's dreadful. Exactly. They are very clinical. So many chances just balled. Exactly. And this is the biggest question mark. Obviously, they lost Diogo Jota in a tragic accident. Like, rest in peace, may God bless his soul and all everything. They didn't replace him properly. They sold Diaz. Why? God knows why. I'm not gonna lie. Why did they sell Diaz? God knows why. Slot persists with playing Gakpo. Why? I have no idea. Ekitike is hot and cold, on and off, so kind of can rely on him, but at the same time, you cannot rely on him. And that now, spending this 150 million on Isak for one decent season makes 0 sense, because those 150 million could have been invested in much smart way, because I still believe that them signing 2 proper attackers for 150 million, or even 3 to a degree, 50 million, get you some very decent attackers these days, would have, and maybe buying 2 attackers and a defender would have given them much more power and much more service would have done to them, and they would be in better position than signing that one Isak. Like, it really depends how you invest your money, and if you make one wrong decision, it could affect your team in a very negative way, and it feels like this season it has definitely done that. Frimpong is not a Trent replacement as well. They're missing Trent quite heavily, I'm not gonna lie. Kirkes as well, 50-50. Wirtz definitely needs to adapt to the league, or he's not gonna be it, because no matter how you look at it, people talk about the flops of the season, issues of the season, the worst signing of the season. To a degree, and I kid you not, one of the main contenders is Florian Wirtz. Liverpool and Chelsea look set to miss out on Champions League football if only 4 teams qualify for that competition. Could it be top 5, or is it definitely just the top 4 who qualify? I think top 4 also qualifies, but the 5th spot depends heavily on who wins the Champions League and also who wins the Europa League, because if a Premier League team wins the Europa League and then they are above that team who is in Europa League spot, there definitely could be some instances, but I think next year in Champions League there will be 5 Premier League teams at the end of the day. I definitely believe so. Big up Hendon. Hope you're doing well, my guy. Hope everything's fine with you this beautiful Sunday. Liverpool actually made Spurs look decent. Yeah, Spurs actually look decent. Yes, they had their rough, shaky moments without shadow of a doubt, but Spurs actually looked good. And the Anfield, as we used to know it, this season doesn't exist. Like, most of the teams go to the Anfield and give them a proper game. Anfield is not as fearful as it used to be. Hence why, looking at Liverpool and that they have to play Galatasaray with being 1-0 down, it's a massive worry, especially if they make Spurs look like they're actually good. And going to Anfield sometimes feels like it's going to be walk in the park. It's not going to be as difficult. For Galatasaray, it's actually a very welcome change. They could do it. They actually could do it if push comes to shove. If they stop making the mistakes they made at home in the first 20 minutes, right? Where Liverpool, if they actually were more clinical or more decisive, they could have been about 3-4-0 up, right? Liverpool are in massive trouble in terms of playing Galatasaray at home. Liverpool players look like they had an eye on Galatasaray. Definitely, they feel like they're more focusing on that, because it looks like they might finish, but they also might not finish in top 4, which is going to be a big loss for them, a big issue for them, no matter how you look at it. Chelsea are breathing down their necks so they can actually finish 6th if they get some unlucky results at the end of the day. So their best way to qualify for Champions League is to win Champions League. Can they do it? No, I don't think so. They just can go as far as they can just to get as much money as they can, because they will have limited budget, I think, this summer. They will be a bit limited. And they need about 2-3 more new defenders. They need another forward. They need about 1-2 more midfielders. They have big issues. And when they had a chance to reinvest, to rebuild, they didn't. And last summer and summer before, when they had chances to do it, they made the wrong decisions. And right now they are in this spot where they are on the brink of big issues. Let's just put it that way. And the signs are there already. In Serie A, Como have moved into Champions League spot after winning today. Fabregas will surely be managing a Premier League before too long. I think for Cesc specifically, I think he needs to stay at Como at least for 1 or 2 more seasons to manage a bigger club, even in Serie A, or move to Premier League. Because at the moment at Como, he has quite a bit of power. He is making a lot of decisions. He's obviously playing a very good football. He's throwing challenge with almost no budget to teams that have 10 times the budget that he has and everything. He's doing a very good job. There's no argument about that. They're playing very decent, very nice-looking football. The way they play, how they defend, how they attack, the philosophy of football that Cesc Fabregas has, it's very eye-pleasing and it's very, very good. Would that translate into Premier League? When he comes, we will see, because at some point he will definitely manage in Premier League. But at the moment, to jump from Champions League spot, if they get even at the end of the season, Como, to Premier League, I think for Cesc it would be a bit too soon. I think he needs to experience everything at Como, where he has less of consequences in terms of if they fall short of something than when they play, actually, when he manages a team that actually has some massive expectations of them. So I think he needs to learn his craft a bit more in Como, and then definitely at some point he will come to Premier League without shadow of a doubt. Without shadow of a doubt. Where? That is another question that is boggling everyone's minds. Who is going to manage next after Como? It could be City, it could be Chelsea, it could be Barcelona even. Maybe it could be Arsenal, but personally for me, it's too early for Cesc at Arsenal. I'm quite a bit against having ex-players as the managers of Arsenal, personally. Unless, and there's that big asterisk I always say, that manager, that player who is a manager now, has won some majors with the team he has managed before. Hence, let's just say, look, talking about Cesc, right? He wins Scudetto, right, in Serie A. He has proven he has done it. He has some resume behind him. He can go take on a new challenge, let's just say, in Premier League and come to Arsenal. I need a manager who is a proven winner. If Arteta wins it, he can stay for one more year. If it doesn't work, we can try another manager. But if Arteta falls short, he doesn't win anything this season of the majors, Champions League or Premier League for me, because Carabao Cup and FA Cup doesn't cut it for me anymore. Having Cesc, I think it's a bit too soon. Quite a bit too soon, in my personal opinion. But time only will tell. Definitely time only will tell. But speaking of some players, right, I wanted to talk to you about Ben White, because yesterday we saw that when Timber got injured, Mosquera came on. Ben White also was on the bench, but he didn't come on. And it feels like it is, as it states here, becoming very clear that Ben White's time at Arsenal may be coming to an end. Arteta doesn't trust him as much, especially with injuries, with issues he has had. Obviously, it's partially due to Arteta himself playing him when he needed 3 months of a surgery, when he needed it, and he still persisted in playing him. But yeah, during the Everton clash, when Timber went down injured in the 38th minute, Arteta opted to bring on Mosquera, not Ben White, hinting that he may favor the youngster going forward. And obviously, there have been some rumors, some talks that Ben White could be leaving in summer anyways, about 35-40 million pounds. Apparently, there's that talking price. According to Transfermarkt, his worth is about that money that I just named, just in pounds. The thing is, there is some interest from Saudi Arabia, from the MLS, but I think he will stay in England potentially. I think he might stay actually in England. But yeah, time only will tell. But if we sell even Ben White, that means we need a left back, we need a right back, we need a midfielder, we need a left winger or two. We need quite a few players still. We need some more investment into the club. And if we don't win anything this season, it could be very, very dire in that regard. Unless the new manager who would come in, by the looks, if that would be the case, gets the backing, of course. As the City are now second from bottom in Championship. 10 years ago, they finished 10 points ahead of Arsenal to win the Premier League. In season, we did the double over them, exactly. We were the only club in Premier League that year who beat Leicester City at home and away. Only team in Premier League. That season arguably should have been the season we win the league as well. If only Giroud could find his finishing boots. Ozil was on track, and he should have beaten Thierry Henry's assist record as well in Premier League. And unfortunately, Giroud couldn't finish his dinner for insane amount of games, let's just put it that way. And that in the end cost us the league, cost us the records and everything. Let's be real, Arsenal before these last few years should have won the league about 3-4 times. After we won it last time in 2003-2004 season, right? We should have won the league quite a few times, like 3-4 times afterwards, and we didn't. And if we had won it then, we obviously would be in a different spot. We would be talking most likely quite a bit more differently about these situations, about the majors. But hey, it is what it is. That's the game, isn't it? Getting 30 million for Ben White would be awesome. Yeah, I think 30 million we could get definitely, if not more. With Andrea Berta at the wheel, that's the thing. With Andrea Berta coming in at the club, this is a guy I trust more than anyone, quite a few, not anyone, but most sporting directors we have had before, to get some proper sales. Because for a club like Arsenal, that to have their best sales still be someone like Oxlade-Chamberlain or Balogun or Emil Smith-Rowe, which is about mid 30 million, for a club like Arsenal, that is embarrassing. When clubs like Bournemouth, Wolves, Leicester City, even and other clubs have 2-3 times more expensive sales. Let's be real. So Arsenal should not be in this spot right now. Big up, Richard. Big up, big up, big up. If Timber's injured, I'll be honest, I have no issues with Mosquera slotting in. Him and Hincapié have been our best signings. Yeah, I would agree with that. Him and Hincapié have been our best signings. Yes, Mosquera in few games has been shaky. Ooh, how shaky he has been that Gabriel has had to bail him out. But overall, for the first season, he has been very solid. Hincapié has been sublime. Feels like flawless to a degree for Arsenal since he has signed. And the Arsenal are going to exercise the full signing of Hincapié. He's going to sign full-time as well in the summer. So that is fantastic. Due to FFP reasons, we just got a loan. So it's more power to us. But Mosquera as well. Mosquera is a center back. He's not a right back. He has played there for Valencia before because due to injuries. Same goes, he played left center back for Valencia because Diakabi got injured and they didn't have anyone to replace him with. But ultimately, he's a right-sided center back. And the thing is, we all talk about these players that I'm no problem slotting in for for Timber and everything. But what happens if we need to replace? Let's just say Saliba has to come off for one reason or another, right? God forbid he gets injured or something. Saliba has to come off. Who are we gonna play then? Now we have to put Mosquera at center back and put Ben White at right back. And it could play a very cruel trick on us. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, exactly. Mosquera at right back doesn't bother me a lot. I'm not gonna lie. Ben White at right back does. Exactly. Ben White has lost a yard of pace. He gets cooked more often than not. His defensive abilities need a bit more work. He seems to have gotten weaker after all these injuries. He is a much bigger worry than Mosquera at right back. We still need a right back and a left back. Yes, we do. In my opinion, in summer, we need a right back, a left back, one midfielder, one or two left wingers. That's 5 signings already. That's the nuts part. And we are talking about this in phase 7, right? After $1 billion spent, we still need about 5 signings. Because looking at the rumors in the transfer mill, right? Ben White might be going. Norgard might be going. Calafiori, apparently he wants out. Go figure what's happening there. Arsenal are looking to sell Martinelli or Trossard, if not both. We are losing all of them. We need players. Obviously, I get it, but at the same time, it's a very weird situation, isn't it? Can you imagine Andrea Berta bringing Harry Maguire on a free? To be honest, I can. I actually can. On corners, he would be fantastic for us, given how we do with corners. But Andrea Berta for Atletico Madrid did quite a few free agent signings and very good ones as well. Let's be real. So I would not be surprised looking at the fact that we are usually not signed. We haven't signed free agents too much at all, to be honest, as Arsenal Football Club in quite a long time. And looking at Arsenal are quite heavily linked still with Goretzka, with Brandt. It feels like it's 2018 all over again, but here we are. But we are linked with Brandt. We are linked with Goretzka still and stuff like that. I would not be surprised if we get some free agent signings. And over the years, even if you look at everything, over the years, there have been some fantastic free agent signings that Arsenal could have made. And they never did. They just let them go to other clubs. And we are paying the price. Tielemans we could have gone for free, for example. He went to Aston Villa because Arsenal didn't bother anymore. Like, there are these players we are losing on free agency that have been very good and could have slotted into this team quite perfectly. Let's be real. Sometimes you need to dive into that market. Players becoming free agents doesn't mean always they are bad. It just means they're different. And they actually could be good. There are some good players in free agency many times. Declan Rice can play right back too. I don't need that. It's bad enough I have to watch him as an 8 sometimes, half gassed around 50th minute. I want to see Declan Rice at a 6 and have a proper number 8, like Bruno Guimaraes, even though he's a 6 technically as well. Or have Declan Rice and Skelly in the midfield. Declan Rice, Nicola Barea in the midfield. Something like that. We do need center backs, though, if Saliba and Gabriel pick up injuries next season, which could happen. Yeah. But if we're looking in this way, Mosquera actually is a backup for Saliba. Timber doesn't have a backup. Well, Ben White, but you know what I mean. Hincapié actually is a backup for Gabriel, realistically speaking, but he plays left back as well, so he's very useful for that. So we need actually a left back and a right back more than we need center backs, if we look at these things. But knowing Arsenal, most likely we're going to look for a utility player who can play center back and a right back, center back and a left back. So we can mix and match at the end of the day. Big up, Animal Shots, big up. Predictions for the final. If they play Turkey, we're screwed. We'll see. We'll see. That's too far ahead. We need to get past Leverkusen. Then we're going to talk about Man City. I'm more focused on Leverkusen, not looking too far ahead as of now. Priority has to be left wing first and foremost. Sure, there's no argument about that. Also, we need another striker. Havertz for me just isn't it, and Jesus has to go. Yeah, exactly. Even last summer, there were talks that there are some Bundesliga clubs who would want to take Havertz back. God knows who would take him with his contract. But for me, okay. We need, technically speaking, we actually need a striker, especially with Jesus and injuries and him not being prolific enough. We need a striker. There's no argument about that. Mosquera is very rash. Also, Saliba can't handle physical players, and Gabriel loves diving. Well, everyone has its quirks. Let's just put it that way. Mosquera is panicky. That is one thing that definitely is a bit of an issue. Mosquera panics. Obviously, it might be his age, first season in Premier League and everything. He maybe is not used to this type of stuff. Yes, I get it. He has kicked the ball out for some corners where we have conceded from quite instantly, which has cost us some points. I absolutely get it. But I think he's a very good player. He's going to, once he becomes level-minded, it's going to be good. It was similar like with Gabriel, for example. He had a massive bozo gene when he just signed, and for a few years it felt like he will never grow out of it. But look at now. He's the guy who we all want to be the captain of the team. He is the guy that cements our back line, and he is arguably the best defender in Premier League. Let's just put it that way. And Saliba is more flair type of defender. Gabriel is more physical type of defender. Berta needs to fix that wage bill. Oh, definitely. That needs to be fixed. That wage bill definitely needs to be fixed because, the wrong page. Even if we look at the wage bill, to be honest, we could look at the wage bill right now without shadow of a doubt. Big up Promise Gaming. Hope you're doing well today, my guy. I hope everything's fine with you this beautiful day. Even if we look at Arsenal's wage bill, right? It is shockingly big to a degree. Let's just put it that way, because let me pull it up on the screen. Obviously, it hasn't updated as of yet with Bukayo Saka and everything, right? But look at this wage bill. Serious talk, look at this wage bill. Kai Havertz on 280. Obviously, Bukayo Saka is going to be on 300 grand a week. Let's just put it that way. Jesus is on 265. Saliba on 250. Odegaard 240. Declan Rice is going to get close to 300, if not the 300 with the new contract talks, which are allegedly happening already. Gyökeres is on 200 grand a week. I get it. Eze 180. Martinelli is on 180. How, what, when, why, what the hell? Trossard is on 180. We basically just increased his salary. His contract did not get extended. We just increased his salary to 180. Ben White is on 150. 150! Like, that's insane. Look at this, though. We just extended Gabriel's contract. He went from 90 or 100 grand a week to 150. He arguably is the best defender in our team, and he is getting paid less than same amount as Ben White, less than Saliba, and less than Jesus and all. Yet he is arguably one of the most important players in our team. He gets laughingly little amount of money. Madueke is on 150, Merino 130, Calafiori on 120, Raya is on only 100 grand a week and everything. Timber is on 90 grand. With his new contract, he's going to be near 200 grand, I would imagine. Rightly so, to be honest. He has been very good. Rightly so. Zubimendi on 75. For how he plays, good enough. Hincapié is going to be on a big contract once we sign him full-time. Norgard is gonna leave. We'll see how that's gonna go. He might be leaving. Kepa is on 60. Mosquera is on 55. I'm not gonna lie, Mosquera plays better than some of these guys, and he gets paid way less. Skelly is on 45. Dauman is on 35 grand a week. Holy crap. But he deserves it. Reece Nelson is on 30, but he's on loan, so that's a bit different story. Vanieri is on 40, but he's on loan. Ishmael Kabia is on 1 grand a week. Poor lad. Poor goddamn lad. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, Arsenal's wage bill, when you look at this part and you see players like Havertz, Jesus, and all them man up there together with Martinelli, it's looking very, very, very rough. Binov can save 300 per week for next 5 years. Yeah, who would buy him though? Even if that would be the case. Thought on the second leg, we can't play like I don't think we're gonna play like the first leg, especially at home. And invite pressure, that's our problem. I hope doesn't catch us. The thing is, Bayer Leverkusen play a lot of football on the ground. Compared to Premier League, when everyone hoops the ball up the pitch in the air, Arsenal have the perfect team for that. All the athletes, all the more physical players, everyone's above 6'2" and everything. We can live with that. But with the physicality and height, many times you have to sacrifice something else. It's mobility, technical ability, movements, and everything. And as soon as we play against teams that actually utilize that mobility and everything to their strengths, Arsenal are in a bit of a trouble. Let's be real. Arsenal are in trouble. Premier League will still go down to the wire. I hope not. I genuinely hope not, but could be the case. Calafiori is on 120 grand per week. Yeah, he got, 10 times salary increase. He was on 12 grand when he was at Bologna. We signed him instantly to 120. 10 times salary increase. That's actually quite insane if you come to think of it. 10 times salary increase. That's a massive growth spurt in salary, which my salary grew like that. I go from one job to another job, and my salary goes, for example, from 1,500 to 15,000 a week, a month. Why not? Why I cannot have this stuff? Why? Serious talk. Why? I go from a random company to like one of the biggest companies in the country. I don't get 10 times salary increase. Come on, man. We have to give Arteta 5 more years. Nah, way too much time, my guy. I'm sorry. For me, that's way too much time. If he doesn't win Premier League and or Champions League this season, for me, he has to go. 6.5 years with only 1 FA Cup, not enough. After $1 billion spent, nowhere near enough. For me personally, I am at this point with Mikel Arteta that as much as I love the FA Cup, as much as I love the Carabao Cup, and I want to win it because we haven't won Carabao Cup in 33 years. FA Cup in 6.5 years. Premier League in 23 years. Champions League, well, never, let's be real. For me, I'm at this point where Carabao Cup and FA Cup, even as a cup double, is not enough. I need the majors. After all this patience, process, light bulbs, lemons, dogs, pickpockets, blasting speakers, squeezing the juice, evolving, sharing wives, and everything, I need the majors, for fuck's sake. I cannot do this. I cannot do this anymore. Seriously. Cannot do this anymore. Crack pipe, dude. Pretty much a rage bait to a degree, let's be honest. But hey, every time something like that tends to happen, it's all good. Don't worry, man. It's all good. Everyone has these things. But yeah, we are in a very good spot. It's gonna be interesting to see this Leverkusen game. Leverkusen just, for me with Leverkusen, the nuts part is that they drew to a 9-man Bayern Munich 1-1. Was it 9? I think it was 9-man Bayern Munich yesterday, right? Or am I talking out my ass? Yeah, 9-man Bayern Munich 1-1. They drew to 9-man Bayern Munich 1-1. I think they left a lot of energy out in that game. So it could help us. Definitely could help us in that regard. So we'll see. We'll see. So time only will tell. Hopefully we can get the job done, because this game, again, we have these games this week specifically that are season defining. Everything rides for us on these games. In Champions League, well, rides our season to a degree. And if we don't go through, can you imagine the burnout, the crash out we're going to have? Can you imagine this stream if we don't go through to Bayer Leverkusen? It's gonna be the end of days. Then at the end of the week, we have Carabao Cup final. We must win that, because if we don't, we will have to sit for 10 or 11 days on that pain until the FA Cup we have at St. Mary's against Southampton. And we all know that after international break, the teams come back, the players come back a bit lackadaisical, a bit distraught, a bit fatigued. Maybe someone got a little injury, a knock or something. Not the best of shape sometimes. And we have to play an away game against a team that most of the players are not going to go to international duty. And Southampton is one of those banana peel teams for Arsenal historically, let's be real, especially away at St. Mary's. So this week and even the game after international break for Arsenal, pretty much every single game is season defining. It could make us or break us at the end of the day. And it's more focused on that than ever. There's more pressure on those games more than ever. And if we don't come out in all of these games, by the way, on top, it could be very season defining and season ruining. It could send us in a downward spiral, which ends up costing us dearly. It could be very rough. Wage bill isn't the problem. It's the players who are getting these wages. To be honest, not as much the players, because, well, they are who they are. They were like that even before the wage bill. Let's be real. The issue is the people that negotiated those wages at the time, aka Edu and Garlic and Lewis and all these men, because quite a few of them are not at the club anymore. They have created this mess, which obviously we have hired Andrea Berta now to clean up. He will have to do an insane job to try and clean this mess up, to put us even, as much as it's weird it sounds to say, even our financial situation as a club is super healthy. We are making profits. We are in pluses, nets, and everything. We need to make the wage bill more adaptive, more profitable, more advantageous for the club. And Andrea Berta is here to do that. Hopefully he can do that, because I have full trust in the guy. Looking at what he has done at Atletico Madrid, 14 years under Simeone and everything, he's one of the top dogs in business, in my opinion, in this regard. So hopefully he can do the job at Arsenal, because this mess needs cleaning up. That's one of those other things that Arsenal have big issues with. Overpaid players. That was the issue to a degree under Arsene Wenger. That was an issue under Emery, and that is the issue under Arteta as well. And usually it's because we had somewhat incompetent sporting directors to a degree. We have had some good ones, but with Edu and Garlics and Lewis's, it definitely has been in a it has caused a mess, and it has caused a situation where if we don't resume control of this spending and this overpaying for specific players quite instantly, it could damage us. And looking at, for example, we have signed Hincapie on loan, 65 grand. Signing Hincapie full time for 45 million in the summer most likely is going to put him on about 120, 100 grand, right? In my opinion, which is fair price. That I'm okay with. Zubimendi being on 75 grand a week, I'm also very fine. I'm happy with that. That's very solid for him at this stage of Arsenal's career and just coming back, right? Just coming to a new league, first year and everything. But looking at these Martinellis and looking at 180 grand a week Martinelli, 285 for Havertz, 265 for Jesus. Then you look at Trossard's situation, who was on 90 grand, and in the beginning of the season, he gets a new contract with no time extension, which means his contract still runs out next summer, not this summer, but next summer. He gets double the salary increase with no contract extension. This type of mess I'm not too excited about. Let's just put it that way. This type of mess I'm not too excited about, but I fully trust Andrea Berta to fix this. I fully and utterly trust Andrea Berta to fix this mess, because that is something that Arsenal need to take care of ASAP. Let's be real. To sign some bigger players, to sign some more adequate players and put them on adequate wages, we definitely need to make fixing of this wage structure ASAP. Yeah, bless me. Big up. Big up Quasha. And I would be thankful if you didn't advertise other people's streams that they are live at the same time as I am in my chat. Thank you. Because yes, promotions, yes, but saying that other people are live at the same time as I am in other people's streams, it is a bit disrespectful. Let's just put it that way. That's pulling instantly like what's its face, Luca vibes. Let's just put it that way. Predictions for Leverkusen on Tuesday. Well, we're gonna talk more about that, but I'm expecting a 3-0 win, 3-0 Arsenal. I think we're gonna do this and do it quite comfortably at home. I think Arteta has learned from his mistakes. The 11 is gonna be different than it was at Leverkusen, and I think we're gonna do the job very nicely. I genuinely believe so. I am worried, but at the same time, I think we're gonna do the job very nicely. I'm okay for giving good wages, but there needs to be quality for the wage. Exactly. There needs to be quality for the wages. Like you cannot pay 3 times more than you need for someone that actually doesn't perform to the value. Because personally, for me, if I get paid what I get paid, at times, obviously, when I got job revaluations at work, my salary gets increased accordingly, depending on the job I put in, depending on the new tasks I might get, and depending on what I put into my job. That is okay. But at the same time, you know how the government works. Looking at what they do when they get paid 50 times more than the regular people, it makes no sense to a degree. Yeah, lemons. I want to focus on Leverkusen first. Exactly. Leverkusen first, then the cup final. Like, let's be real. Get the job done first. Exactly. Yeah, I know. I know that. You're just trolling the chat and everything. Because if Marlon was here, by the way, that would be glorious how he would crash out over that statement. On goals, set pieces, or another lucky penalty. None of them. None of them. We might score a set piece, but I think we're going to score from open play. Sadly, the players will have an eye on the Carabao Cup final, as most haven't been in the final for Arsenal, and that's dangerous. True, I get that. I absolutely get that, but I think we're going to get the job done. I think every single game for Arsenal at the moment is like a final, and we are not going to look too far ahead of that. I genuinely believe so. Obviously, we play the same day as City, so we'll have the same time to relax on Tuesday. City play the same day. Yes, City play the same day as us at the same time, so I think we're going to go one game at a time. This is starting to look like a situation when Arsenal don't think too far ahead. They just struggle through the games as they come at times, and whatever happens, happens. Let's just put it that way. I hope we face either West Ham or Leeds in the FA Cup semi-final at Wembley on the 25th. Dude, you first things first, get past Southampton in the FA Cup. I'm just going to say it as it is. I'm going to say straight, because the FA Cup quarterfinals for Arsenal is straight after international break. And we all know how teams, the big teams specifically, where half of the team, if not more, tends to go out of the international break, looks like after the international break. On top of that, we are playing away at St. Mary's. And we all know that against Southampton, it's one of those teams we tend to struggle with no matter what, especially away. We have been there, we have done that. Even the 22-23 season, when we were blitzing teams, best football in Europe, away at Southampton, we all saw what happened. We barely beat them in the cup. A few days later in the league, 3-3 draw. Like, that game against Southampton definitely is a very, very rough one, especially at St. Mary's. And they will not have too many players going out on international duty like Arsenal do. That is the biggest thing. I know I'm just saying that I think we should have... I never said it. Yeah, definitely. We should. That goes without saying. We should be beating Southampton in the FA Cup quarterfinals. Will we? That's a completely different story. Southampton have not lost a match in the last 11 or so. Yeah. I want to check something just quickly, as we are here talking about all this. Yeah, it's not great. I'm not gonna lie, it's not great, because even if you look at this instance, right, quickly, Arsenal versus Southampton. Last time in FA Cup, when we played against them at St. Mary's, by the way, we lost 1-0. That's the nuts part. Last time we played them in FA Cup, we lost them 1-0. Look at this. 22 season, we lost them to 1-0. We drew to them, we drew to them, then we beat. At home, we deal with them quite comfortably. It's the away game that is a massive struggle for Arsenal at St. Mary's. Always. 2-1 narrow draw, 3-3, 1-1 draw, loss. Then we win 1-3. Then we lose 1-0. Like, it's definitely for Arsenal that St. Mary's Stadium is a struggle. And it has been like that for quite a while. And I just hope after international break that doesn't play a very cruel trick on us. Let's just put it that way. I really, really hope it doesn't play a very cruel trick on us and we actually do a good job there. Because it could definitely be very impactful of how our team gets viewed and how our season goes. Definitely could affect us quite heavily or quite, I want to say positive, well, depending, let's just put it that way. Definitely could affect us to a very high degree. Very, very high degree. And nobody wants to see Arsenal lose, but that game definitely has some upsets being written all over it if we don't take this game too seriously. And especially looking at the instance that, well, let's be real, we have to play that game straight after international break. That could definitely be a rough one, a tough one, and yeah, it could be problematic. That's why I said it's the players who are getting the wages, bro. Wait, what? What? Didn't we? Wait, didn't we talk about this a few minutes ago? Like about 15 minutes ago? I'm confused. Genuinely confused. Wait, what happened? It's on all of them, to be honest. It's not just the wages. It's on all of them. It's on all of them. Let's just put it that way. It is on all of them. So we'll see. We will see, of course. We definitely will see. I think the worst thing that could happen to us would be losing the League Cup to Man City. Yeah, that would be, well, first things first, losing it to Leverkusen at home would be the first worst thing. But if we go through, I think for our season, the worst thing possible is losing to Man City at the Carabao Cup final. 100%. That is the worst thing that could happen because the same team is chasing us in the league, and that could give them psychological advantage, which we all know that Arsenal mentally are quite fragile. Over the years, we have seen that. So that definitely could be the worry. But yeah, people, on this note, I'm going to end today's stream. Thank you guys so much for being here. Have a nice evening. Have a nice day. Tomorrow, have a great start of the week. Like the stream, subscribe if you're new, and see you guys very, very, very soon. Peace.